We had a high-profile missing person case in Milwaukee. It turned into a murder investigation after her body parts were found all over our city. Families in pain. Plus, there was horrific assault of a woman in a Milwaukee parking garage just recently. So how do we protect ourselves? Skye Middleton with Gracie Milwaukee joins us right now. Thank you so much. What's your website again?
GracieMilwaukee.com, and thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate the opportunity.
What are the top 3 places that are the most dangerous for a woman to be and to be on alert?
That's a great question. So typically, parking structures, parking lots, especially where it's a little more dimly lit or lights are out, that's probably, I'd say, the number one place. As far as anywhere where drugs and alcohol can be consumed. Typically alcohol, that's the places you kind of want to stay away
bars?
from. Yeah, just because, as soon as you start drinking, things start to get a little murky, and one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, you're somewhere you don't want to be, right? So, especially for ladies, things like that. And yeah, I would say those are the 2 top things I would look out for. Again, you can argue one way or the other, public transport, that kind of thing, but it's nowadays it's just so random with this current, with the current situation we had with Sade.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, who could have predicted that?
Yeah, tragic.
Really yeah.
Tragic. Are there things that people, there's a lot of common sense things, but when you talk to young women or we talk to the young women in our lives, what are some of the core basic things that they should be thinking about, that they should be alert to?
That's a really great question. Thanks, John. So I think the number one thing I want to point out, and you'll hear this from any self-defense professional, situational awareness. Okay, I walk around, I see so many people buried in the phones, walking from point A to point B, crossing streets. It's pretty crazy, but that's the problem nowadays is we're not paying attention to our surroundings, and we're more interested in what's going on a phone or things like that than we are what's going on around us. So imagine walking to your car a little late at night, it's dark, you parked at the other end of the parking lot, the lights are out, and you're messing around on your phone. That's a recipe for disaster. So just being aware of your surroundings, checking your corners, that kind of thing, that's going to go a long, long way. Prevention is always better than cure. So I think if our listeners today take one thing away, is and there's certain places where it's okay to be on your phone, right? If you're in Starbucks sitting there and doing your thing, it's okay. Spend as much time as you want. There's people around, bystander intervention. But when the situation changes or the location changes, you have to kind of be aware where are you at risk and where are you not. And I'd say it's pretty much common sense, but
but be aware of that.
Ever err on the side of caution, you know what I mean?
I know. Yeah, I always think about that when I go into the parking garage, and sometimes I'm really aloof, and I'm definitely going to be on guard now. I mean, unfortunately, I wish that this didn't happen.
Yeah, that's really sad.
So this woman, it happened to her at about 9 o'clock in the morning, and she was on her phone. Not victim blaming at all. Please don't take it that way if anyone's listening, but if someone is listening and wants to protect themselves, what's the number one maneuver that you can describe for someone to do?
To be brutally honest, situational awareness. If someone manages to get their hands on you, we're talking ladies in specific now?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So the number one, and you probably heard this before, many self-defense systems talk about this, is no matter what, don't go. Okay? Don't go. Because with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in the Women of Power program, we categorize our bad guys into 2 different categories, stranger and non-stranger. Now, the crazy part is about 78% of sexual assaults are perpetrated by non-strangers, somebody you already know.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a scary part. Where most places focus on the 22%, the bad guy in the mask, in the black mask in the back alley right there, which is actually the minority. Okay, so again, we have to deal with that also, but there's another type of, bad guy with this non-stranger. So think of it at a party, an acquaintance, that kind of thing. Yep. That also has to be dealt with. We do both of those. We cover both of those sides. But again, if you're in a situation where we're dealing with a stranger, somebody you don't know, all of a sudden they get a hold of you and they want to take you somewhere, that's going to be the isolation or subdue isolation phase. And the goal is not to go. No matter what you
So scream, fight, don't go.
Yeah, and I think the number one thing, we talk about this a lot in Jiu-Jitsu, it's a very common word, it's called base, all right? And just establishing a very strong structure with your legs and getting really kind of finding your roots, so to speak. So when you're getting pushed or pulled from one point A to point B, you now become much harder work for the bad guy than he originally anticipated.
Dead weight yourself?
I wouldn't say lie down, okay? That doesn't really work too well because you can get dragged away pretty easy. But staying on your feet's the best course of action. And then from there, when they try to pull, we have strategies for this we can show you in 5 minutes, and you'll have a great understanding. But it's just about getting low, getting wide with your base, with your legs nice and wide. If they're pulling you, if they're leaning away, pulling you, you lean away from them with the wrist grab. If they're pushing you, you push in towards them so they can't move you. It's really that simple. And that can 9 times out of 10 solve the problem right there and then. Because really, again, if they can't move you, they can isolate you. And they want to get you away from everybody else, right? They don't want to do this in front of bystanders where they can get interrupted. Does that make sense?
If you're on a first date, do you suggest someone to, carry a knife on them or have pepper spray or mace, whatever is legal in Wisconsin, mace?
I think you could probably come up with many different types of tools.
Keep going.
I think in reality, the safest thing you can actually have is, I know it's going to sound silly, is a flashlight. So they make tactical flashlights which have a strobe function.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're pretty nowadays. I mean, small form factor, and they get really bright really fast. And then some of them have a sharper bezel on the end of it.
It hurts if you get hit with it.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of striking, because if you're in a striking range of the bad guy who's typically bigger, heavier, and stronger, right, if you can hit him, guess what? He can hit you back. So we call it the red zone. We don't really want to spend too much time there. But if you can light somebody up with a really bright strobe, it makes it very difficult to see. And if they can't see you, it's much easier to run away from there. So it sounds silly, but it's you don't need a license. You don't need a license for it.
Do that.
You know what I mean? It doesn't run out of ammo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not legal, so it's a really good tool. Yeah,
man, it's good information. It's unfortunate we have to have these discussions, but they're important discussions.
Absolutely.
We need to love each other and take care of each other. And if you're educated, you can help those people. I can have that discussion with my daughters now because I know the things that I should focus on.
100%.
Skye Middleton with Gracie Milwaukee, GracieMilwaukee.com. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Great information. Thank
Appreciate
you so
you guys.
much.
Thank you very
Important
much.
discussion. 3:56 at WTMJ. Rich Kirchen is a senior reporter at the Milwaukee Business Journal.